people at one time versus going door to door and speaking one person at a time. So I appreciate these. I'm going to ask you guys actually at the end too, if you have any events, I'm more than willing to speak at them, but I'll talk about more of that later. I also want to thank all of you guys too for coming today on this holiday. So taking time out of your day to come hear me speak is always nice to see. It's funny because I was telling Joshua, my husband, before I actually, welcome, come on in. I was telling my husband when I was writing this and putting this together, this is probably my shortest speech that I've put together so far. I had a long, like a topic usually at high schools that I have to talk about for half an hour or things like that. So this one was possibly the shortest, but I was not discouraged by that because this fall me and Joshua went to Gettysburg and I learned something pretty interesting there. The Gettysburg Address, which we all know, the most famous Abraham Lincoln address that we all love so much, he was not actually the featured speaker. I did not know this. A man named Edward Everett was the featured speaker at the Gettysburg Address. And I found this to be interesting. He later wrote this to Lincoln. He said, "I wish that I could flatter myself that I had come as near to the central idea of the occasion in 2 hours as you did in 2 minutes." So here, obviously shorter is better because none of us remember Abraham Lincoln. None of us remember Edward Everett, let alone his long 2-hour speech. But we all know Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. So needless to say, shorter must be better. So we're going to go ahead and I'll keep it simple for you guys here. So, whose applause do you covet? That's the question I would ask our leadership. Whose applause do you covet? Because, to me, by the lack of their courage, it seems that they are fine with the applause of who's ever in the room. They want the applause of everyone, even if that means they compromise their beliefs, or if that means taking prizes offered to them by those who place gods before God. I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired of it. I am tired of politicians who are more worried about being politically correct than morally right. I am tired of being told that I am apathetic because I happen to believe the Bible is the same yesterday, today, and forever. I'm tired of being used as a political pawn for someone else's agenda. I'm tired of being forced to fund Planned Parenthood. I'm tired of being forced to have to purchase health insurance now. I'm tired of paying Mikey Weinstein to continue his focus on removing any traces of Christianity within our military. I am tired of the VA giving pills instead of counseling to our veterans. I'm tired of people, like our governor, taking the Medicaid expansion packages knowing that we are $18 trillion in debt.
Absolutely.
I am tired of government agencies like the ATF, the EPA, the NSA, the DOJ, the IRS, using us as political pawns but they're supposed to be protecting and serving us. And honestly, I could name probably 5 more acronyms right there that we've seen recently under the Obama administration, but I will spare us all the heartbreaking reminder, okay? With every unveiling of a new government scandal, I'm wondering, where is our leadership's courage? When the Senate last year invoked the nuclear option, I was absolutely stunned. I remember sitting next to my husband and I thought, oh my gosh, if I was Rob Portman right now, when I wasn't sitting in the Senate chamber, I would be causing such a media ruckus that every American person would know what I mean when I say the nuclear Senate. Not only adults, children would know. I would be on MSNBC, I would be on ABC, I would be on Fox News. Not only that, I would be on Sesame Street. I'm not joking. I would be everywhere. They would be so sick of Melissa Strzala talking about the nuclear option being invoked. I think it's a travesty, and I think we should go back to the rules, the original rules. I'm actually angry that the Republicans now control the Senate, and they have not changed the rules back to what our founding fathers wanted.
Absolutely.
It's a travesty.
Absolutely.
And it's the number one thing Rob Portman should be screaming from the rooftops right now. Sorry, I got a little excited about it. I need to remind these spineless people in Congress right now that two wrongs don't make a right. So just because the Democrats changed the rules does not mean the Republicans need to keep the rules changed. I think it's wrong, and if you don't know anything about it, I'll explain it to you after. It's a travesty. I've been told, if you can't tell, that I am biblically and politically courageous. When it comes to my personality, I would describe me as kind of a cross between Margaret Thatcher and Trey Gowdy. With a hint of comedian, though. I have a little more hint of comedian than I would ruffle feathers in Congress.
Yes.
Not only that, I would stand up against the Democrats and the Republicans. I would do this because I refuse to stay silent anymore. Martin Luther King once said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." My faith matters to me. This country matters to me. Your children's futures matter to me. This out-of-control debt matters to me. Our veterans matter to me. The record levels of welfare that we are currently seeing matter to me. All of you in this room matter to me. People often ask me, by the way, how do I know, Melissa, that you're courageous when I've never seen you on a political platform? The first thing I'd like to say to those people is, I'm not sure when being in a political platform gave you like the barometer of courage, because right now you're the most uncourageous people I've ever seen. So I don't know how that shows you my courage, okay? So that's the truth. But the fact is, I am a non-Ivy League, no-name nanny. And I have decided to stop being silent. And after people trying to discourage me, don't do it, I'm still running against an incumbent. If that doesn't speak volumes to you about my courage, I don't know what does. I really don't.
Right.
I want to quickly share a story with you. And I actually chose this illustration for two reasons. One second. Number one is, the reason I'm sharing this is, it's about a marathon. And my husband over there runs ultra marathons, which is amazing to me, okay? And actually, he happens to be running an ultra marathon here soon. He's running the entire state of Ohio for the Alzheimer's Association. Wow. He's running 300 miles in 8 days. He's amazing. I'm not joking. And I find him to be so amazing, not only because of his endurance, because of his courage to never give up. I watched him run 100 miles in 22 hours. His feet is swollen. He's smiling, singing, going on. Amazing. Amazing speed. The other reason I'm sharing this illustration with you is I believe the man in this story is an epitome of courage. So it's 1968, guys. The Olympics are held in Mexico. The marathon happens to be the final event that's on the program. Now I want you guys to picture this, okay? The stadium erupts as the first runner comes plowing in. It's an Ethiopian runner. He comes plowing around that track, crosses the line, first place. While he's celebrating his first place victory, there's a man out in the field. His name is John Stephen Akwari from Tanzania. Around mile 18, his head started throbbing. He passed out onto the ground. The officials came running over, assessed his legs, said, "You have severe injuries to your legs. You have to quit, or you can't continue." He said, "I must. Bandage him up." So they bandage his legs up. He gets up, and he starts the painful 8.2-mile hobble to the finish line. While he's going along, he starts hobbling, he walks into the stadium. As he's there, now mind you, it's an hour later, the first person has crossed the finish line. So there's about 1,000 people left in the actual stadium. He comes in, he starts making that painstaking track around there, barely, almost about to fall. He finally collapses over the finish line. It is probably one of the most heroic efforts ever in Olympic history, ever recorded. After the race, though, a reporter comes up to him and says, "Man, John, why didn't you stop when they gave you the opportunity?" He said, "My country did not send me to start the race. They sent me to finish." One thing I love about this story is that Akwari finished the race the same way he started. Standing up, using his two legs to move forward. It might have been a hobble, it might have been awkward, but he was still moving forward. He wasn't crawling, he didn't need assistance, he didn't give up, he didn't let his legs tear him down, he kept moving forward on his two legs to the finish line. That's what you can count on me to do. No matter how many people try to beat me down, I will always stand courageously on my convictions. Mm-hmm. If I go into office saying, I will not add one piece of pork to any legislation, I'll do just that. Some might think, oh, well, this will stop the progress of Ohio. You're not getting money for our state. You know what I say to those people? Shouldn't our first priority be progressing ourselves out of this out-of-control debt? That should be our first priority, not how much money Ohio can get. Let's stop putting pork in the legislation. I'm sick of Congress doing it. If I say that I am not for redefining marriage, then I will not flip-flop on the issue if I happen to have a homosexual family member, which I do. So just let you know, I'm not going to flip-flop on that issue. If I happen to say that I am pro-life in all instances, I will not vote for a budget that funds Planned Parenthood. We're too far along now. I'm 32 years old. I'm a youngin' for it to be against Planned Parenthood, and I am. There's more like me. So it's time to just end Planned Parenthood's funding forever. We need to stop. I understand the seriousness of what is going on within our government right now. I understand that we can't afford one more cowardly Congress. Your grandkids, your kids cannot afford one more cowardly Congress. It's time we start voting in bold, courageous Americans who are willing to stand firmly on their convictions. For the past few years, we've tragically had to witness 535 men and women who could not unite together to stand up against one person, the President of the United States. If that's not a lack of courage, guys, I don't know what is. In a world that is facing another Holocaust, we are able to watch firsthand how a lack of religious liberty leads to political repression. This is why, more than ever, we should be voting in champions for liberty, especially those who are champions for religious liberty, with the courage to speak up against secular bigotry. I'm sick of it. And I am one of those champions. I really want to thank all of you guys, all of you here, sitting here, for coming out instead of drinking green beer. I appreciate you guys taking the time to come out here and hear me speak tonight. It really does mean a lot to me. I want to thank Richard again for setting this up for me. It is so nice to be able to speak to a larger group like this. I want to tell you guys, if any of you guys, I've been speaking at senior breakfasts, pregnancy centers. I spoke to college clubs recently. That's been a very big outlet for me, is conservative collegiate groups.
Good.
It's been great. I've really enjoyed it, actually. So if you guys, though, have any events that you would ever like me to speak at, please talk to me after. I am more than willing to set it up. I like speaking at events like this. Like I said, I can conquer more people at once. Plus, it opens a lot more doors for me. Another thing, too, that I had mentioned, if you guys were staring at me with a blank stare when I was talking about the nuclear Senate, don't worry. We've all been there. It sounds scary. It is scary, but not what you think, probably, if you don't know what it is. If you do not know what it is, please speak with me after. I have made an 11-minute informative video on YouTube explaining the entire nuclear Senate to you, explaining the seriousness of it. This is something that Republicans did threaten to invoke before the Democrats actually did it. So we actually have responses. I have the video of the responses of the Democrats and how they were horrified when the Republicans were going to do it, yet they actually did it. So I really would love you to take the time to just watch it, get yourself kind of up to it, because it's a big part of my platform, because believe it or not, it's very, very serious. It has completely changed the entire face of what our founding fathers wanted for the Senate. Last but not least, I am still collecting the 1,000 plus signatures.